Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you are enjoying these sit down videos. I hope that you're enjoying your summer, because I am. I went to the beach earlier today. It was fantastic. Not the point of this video. The point of this video is I wanted to touch on some things that I guess the title kind of explains it all. Things that God says are okay to do. So I have like 5 or 6 things. I'm going to back them up with some scripture so you know it's not just me going on with my own opinion, and we'll just go from there. Okay, so in the Christian community, we catch a lot of heat from doing things a little bit differently. And so I'm going to get more into specifics, but I'll start with number 1. And number 1 is standing up for ourselves. I think we have been raised, or we come into a Christian community as adults, and we're taught to turn the other cheek whenever someone does something wrong to us. And yes, that is true. We are supposed to give our enemies the shirts off our backs. We are supposed to show love even when they show hate. We are supposed to be kind even when they are nasty. However, we are allowed to stand up for ourselves. That doesn't mean that you can just go on this crusade of everyone that's ever wronged you. It doesn't mean that you get to be a vigilante. It basically means that you are allowed to stick up for yourself. David fought Goliath for no other reason that we really know of besides he was a bully. He was documented in the Bible as being 10 feet tall, and he was just nasty towards everyone, mocking David up until the stone hit him right between the eyes. So we clearly are allowed to stick up for. I'm not telling you to kill your bully. Please, no. But what I am saying is that in certain situations, it's justifiable to stick up for yourself, separate yourself, whatever. So I think that while we're able to stick up for ourselves in certain situations, we do need to remember that God says continually through the Bible that He will fight our battles. He will take care of our enemies. So do we really need to take the reins from Him? No. But that doesn't mean that you can just curl up in the fetal position and let someone beat you, or, things like that. Obviously the extremes are extremes for a reason, but I am just coming out there and I'm saying, it's okay to stick up for yourself. It's okay to stick up for other people. The Bible actually states to stick up for people that are weaker than yourself. So that is that. So number 2, excuse me. It is okay to walk away from someone. I think as well as fear for sticking up for ourselves, we also have a fear that we can never give up on anyone. And I definitely struggle with this. I never want to give up on anyone. I always want to make sure I'm there for them until my last breath. But there are situations where it's okay to walk away from someone, whether it be a toxic relationship with a spouse, a friendship that is bringing you away from Christ, things like that. So I think it's important to know that. Even Jesus had basically told off one of his friends. So Peter was one of his besties, along with the other 11 disciples. And when Peter was finding out what was going to happen to Jesus on the cross, he completely disputed it. And whether that was out of just disbelief because he loved Jesus so much, or because he just didn't believe it, I don't know. We don't know what was going through Peter's mind, but he was disputing what was supposed to come to fruition to save humanity. So even Jesus yelled at his friend, yelled at Peter, and basically told him, back off, you're a stumbling block, your eyes need to be focused on Christ, and if you're not going to do that, get away from me. So I'm clearly paraphrasing, but I will show you the verse. Okay. So that being said, it is okay to, that's kind of sticking up for yourself too, to be able to say something like that. So it's kind of 1 and 3 all at the same time, sticking up for yourself and also being able to distance yourself. And they came full circle. Peter was Jesus' friend again, and things worked out the way that they were supposed to. And who knows, maybe if you stick up for yourself and if you need to walk away from a situation, God will reunite a friendship or a romantic relationship or what have you. Number 3, it is okay to be angry. It is okay to be angry. God gave us all of our emotions, okay? So like we have to use them wisely. I'm not saying, it's okay to act, crazy, happy this minute, sad the next minute, yelling that minute after. God gave us all of our emotions. We need to use them wisely. We need to be in control to the best of our abilities, but we also need to lean on Him for that as well. But there is a thing called righteous anger. So Jesus one time walked into the temple, the church, and saw that people were trading and selling and bartering and this and that, and they made His home a complete circus, and He was infuriated, and rightly so. That's supposed to be a place of prayer, a place of connection, and so He got so angry that He actually flipped the tables and scolded them. And there's nothing wrong with that. Jesus lived without sin, as we know. Maybe we don't if you're new, but He led a very pure life. So when He flipped a table or multiple tables out of anger, it wasn't wrong. So we can learn from that example that it is okay to have righteous anger. He did it not for selfish purposes, but because they were corrupting the home of God. And so we need to keep that in mind. When we're angry about other things, it's okay. It's okay. It's when we act on those emotions that things can go awry. So again, we just have to be careful. But if you are doing something in the name of God, like truly, like what the scripture says, someone is doing something just horrific, and you feel this like overwhelming urge to stand up for what's right, that is righteous anger, and that is okay. Okay, so this one kind of made me chuckle as I was writing it down. So this one I wrote, it's okay to take time to think. And what I mean by that, it can go in many different directions, but my husband, Phil, he's a very patient man with me. Basically, when we get into a fight or an argument or whatever you want to call it, I tend to shut down. I get really emotional overload. I can't think of what I want to say clearly. I usually just wind up crying after I've blurted out a bunch of things that I think make sense, and they're really not as concise as I want them to be. And so Phil calls it me taking my ball and going home. I cringe when he says that, but he's got a point. I say, I need time, I need space, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And he's more like, we need to solve this. What did you mean? What should we do? Things like that. And I definitely want to work out the problem, but I want to go sulk first. And so when I say it's okay to take time to think, that's not quite what I mean. If I was to do it biblically, it would be more logical and less emotional. So it's okay to separate yourself and say prayer, gather your thoughts. It actually says, let me see. I think we all know, if you've been here for a bit, that I love the book of James in the Bible. How in verse 19 of chapter 1, he talks about being slow to speak. So that kind of tells us, okay, we can stop and think about what we want to say. But it also says in Proverbs 16:23, intelligent people think before they speak. So it's literally saying, if you're smart, you're going to stop and think for a minute. Now, if I did that biblically, then I'd be all good. But I take my ball and I go home. So I got to work on that, channeling those emotions again. These all kind of tie together. I didn't even realize that. Number 3, talking about being angry, and number 4, taking time to think. It's funny how they all kind of coincide, when you're in certain situations, but I digress. Okay. So number 5 is a doozy, and I might catch some heat for this, but maybe not. I was talking with a woman, and she'll remain nameless, but she had posted something on Facebook, and she had said how women need to take care of their homes, and it's a sin for a woman to leave her home and her family to go have a job. And she quoted a scripture, okay? There is a part in the Bible where it says the women should be keepers at home, okay? That's the word she really focused on. But I started digging and trying to figure it out, because I'm like, it can't be wrong for a woman to work, because some women have to. Like, if they have a military spouse and they need to, take care of the kids at home, or if they're in a bad situation with their significant other, then there are so many reasons why a woman would have to work. And also, like, we live in 2021. A lot of people need to work. Some people just need 2-income households. We do. And so I was like, okay, this can't be wrong. It can't be wrong for a woman to work. And I know that deep in my gut, but I got to find the proof to back it up. So I started digging, and I found the verse that she was talking about. It's Titus 2:5, and in the King James Version, it does say keepers at home. But what it translated from in the original Greek is 2 words. So there are 2 words that stem from that, and it's dwelling and guard. So when the Bible verse says that women should be keepers at home, it's saying women should be guarding their dwelling. Now, it doesn't say they need to be at home 24/7 to do this. I gotta find this verse. Okay, I found it. So also, I just want to clarify that, like, this isn't something that is like, oh, you little women, you have to do this, and the men can just do whatever. Like, there are very clear commands for both sexes to follow to make a home the way it should be. And it doesn't say, I want to be very careful. Okay, the Bible doesn't say you're a man, so you do this, and you always do this, and no matter what you do this, and you're a woman, so you do this, and it gives us guidance as to what we should do. So it says, teach the older men to exercise self-control, to be worthy of respect, to live wisely. They must have sound faith and be filled with love and patience. Similarly, so it's not just excluding the women or whatever, similarly, teach the older women to live in a way that honors God. They must not slander others or be heavy drinkers. Instead, they should teach others what is good. These older women must train the younger women to love their husbands and their children, to live wisely and be pure, to work in their homes, to do good, and to be submissive to their husbands. It is not saying that this little feeble woman has to just, do whatever that she needs to do to keep her home and bake bread and all that. It is saying, like, you're also a leader. Do your part. Guard your home. That is your dwelling. Teach your children, and in conjunction with what God had already told the men to do, it works beautifully. It's very very helpful. And so I just want to clarify that, because there are some women out there that are like, oh my gosh, I have to work, but am I not being a faithful person? Am I not being a faithful Christian? Am I not being a good enough wife to trust my husband to provide enough money? Am I not, and it's like, no, God doesn't give us there's a little spider on my wall. I don't know how the bugs are getting in here. It must be through the air conditioners. I can go more into each topic on a different day, but I just wanted to really put it out there that there are things that seem like they're probably not okay to do because of the stigma that comes along with it, because you've always been taught a certain way to do things. But I want you to try, if you think that something doesn't sound right, then look it up. Look it up. If you have heard someone say, be submissive to your husband, and you're like, whoa, girlfriend, I'm a feminist and I, whatever, look it up. Look it up. Because I think you'll be surprised. If you hear these things and you're like, I don't know if that's right, but I'll just keep on keeping on. No, seriously, just look it up. It might give you some good insight. So, I hope you liked this. I'm going to end it here. Thanks for swinging by. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, friends.